Welcome to Pottsgrove Manor, also known as the John Potts House. It's a historic home located in Pottstown, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Built in 1752 by John Potts, it's a large two-story, rectangular, sandstone and fieldstone building in the Georgian style.
Pottsgrove Manor!
Hi, who do we have here?
Hi, my name's Ann. I'm the museum educator here at Pottsgrove Manor, which is the historic house museum for John and Ruth Potts, who are iron masters. John and Ruth had 13 children. All 13 lived to be adults, and there's the paid, indentured, and enslaved people who lived and worked in here. So this is a museum packed with history. The Potts are iron masters, making anything you could think of out of iron. Yeah, as their last name suggests, they could make pots and pans, but mostly they made stuff that heated your home. Firebacks and stove plates, things we'll see on our tour. But really, it all just boils down to they are incredibly successful at their job. And when they have this house built, it is to show off the wealth, prestige, success they achieved in the iron industry. And they pick its location because it's right in the middle of their many forges and furnaces. You might hear the road noise for us today. High Street is the historic road that connected Philadelphia up to Reading. And so you can picture that Potts wanting to build their house on this main road and able to be a big Georgian manor full of balance and symmetry, immediately communicating that, ooh, someone who's got some money lives here. She just got it.
Good grief, they gave her the keys to the castle.
I got in. Hey, come on.
Exciting things, like the floors. The first four floorboards are replaced. All right, this clock is one of our Potts pieces. It was owned by one of John and Ruth's kids. Their third kid, he was John Jr. Now, John Jr. is about 13 at the time the family moved in here, and he really didn't live here all that much. There are lots of records of him attending the Philadelphia Academy, founded by, of course, good family friend Benjamin Franklin. You guys are like guests of the Potts, so let's head into the front parlor where you as guests would be shown right away. Now, the front parlor, we historic house museums, we always love to dress it up because it is the most formal space in the house. So it's a space you could easily have entertainments like playing cards, but it can be so much more. You can notice all of this furniture is either drop side, tilt top, extra chairs against the side of the wall, because this room is anything you need it to be. It can be an office space, so if John was gonna have some meetings, he could easily bring out a big table, set chairs around it. But if later that day, Ruth was gonna have the children come in, why, they could again bring a sofa, a settee in here, gather around the fire, easy. They're gonna have tea, bring out the tea table, don't need it anymore, put it back. You wanna have a dance in this room, move all the furniture to the side of the wall so you have plenty of space. You know, today, a lot of times, you know, our dining room is our dining room is our dining room. We never move the furniture from there. But the 18th century loves a multifunctional room and multifunctional furniture. And so this room is anything that you want it to be. Okay. Now in this room, we have it set up as a dining parlor. And, you know, again, it could be a very multifunctional space, just as our front parlor. But right now, we have someone watching over us. Our mom, our main lady, our household manager, Ruth. Now this is painted a little bit later in her life. Those 13 children gave her 74 grandkids and close to 200 great-grandkids. And Ruth was a very long-living lady. She made it to the age of 70. But I like to say Ruth is the princess of iron. She is related to all the main iron families, and it's John's marriage to her that really allowed the Potts to excel. Ruth's grandfather started the first blast furnace in Pennsylvania called Coalbrookdale. It's no longer standing, but the name is still used around the area, and you can see it every so often. But this thing in the fireplace, a fire back to protect stonework and bounce the heat back out into the room, is a Potts piece that was manufactured at Coalbrookdale Furnace. And so Ruth is in charge of everyone who lives and works in this house. And so we don't always know a ton about all the people who lived and worked here, but Ruth would know exactly what they needed to do. And if there was chipped, dishes, wilted flowers, anything that would bring, a little bit of disdain onto the appearance of the family, that's not the person who did the work's fault. That's Ruth's fault for being a poor manager. So lots of responsibility upon those shoulders. So when we were becoming a museum in the 1940s, this is the one room that had to be rebuilt. And it is on an archaeological evidence that this is where the kitchen was, but everything that we see is not historic. But that does mean it's usable, which means we actually do get to cook in here. And stuff you can see on our social media, we'll give you recipes and other videos and stuff where we're going to make all sorts of stuff in our kitchen hearth. All right, so this room we have set up as John Potts' office. But truly, this would have been the start of the servant half of the household, but we wanted a space we could talk about the business and the work of the Potts and really highlight a true treasure of our museum, which is sitting on the table. This is the original household ledger from 1751 to 54, so just as the Potts are moving in here, and it is a fantastic insight into what they're doing. And we do actually have an examples of stuff they're buying. So here, in January of 1752, they buy some green tea, sundries from Tommy West, so various things. They get sugar, chocolate, coffee, a pair of shoes, even more tea, and then sour oranges. So you can see January, they're getting a lot of those sweet treats right after the holidays and stuff, preparing for their winter goods. I mean, even today, clementines come into the stores around the holidays. So you can still see a lot of parallels to our 18th century ancestors. So not only does this give us a great insight into the Potts' world, but it also shows us stuff they're selling. On this page, it's always bar iron. So they're always selling bar iron, and that iron is going to be used into making a very, very popular thing. Now, these are incredibly popular among German immigrants to Pennsylvania, and it's an alternative to a fireplace. It is fantastic at heating your house. And you can see plain-sided ones, but 9.5 times out of 10, they're decorated. So over here, we have 2 original stoveplates cast at the Potts' biggest, most successful furnace, Warwick. And the Potts know their audience. They put these stoveplates entirely in German. John even spells his name J-A-H-N, the German spelling on these. And it has all of these dark marks, which are burn marks and soot from candles being set on the chair rail.
Were there slaves here?
Yes, there are at least 13 enslaved people at the time of John's death in this household, 10 men and 3 women. So we know their names, but we don't know what kind of work they're doing. And there's also a lot of records for enslaved people who worked in the town at the forges and furnaces, but again, sometimes we don't have names for that, so we don't know who's doing what. There's also a ton of records for indentured servants, a lot of them Dutch, very interestingly. And so again, sometimes we know jobs, like one's listed as a carpenter, one is a blacksmith, but then sometimes we don't get anything, or we get records like paid your Dutch servants travel. So we don't know who they are or where they're going. But we also have the last category, we have paid work here, especially a tutor. There was a tutor named Henry Moore who was paid for teaching the Potts children for 2 years. But basically, if you work in the house, you sleep in the house. And it really matters more about your job title than if you are free, indentured, or enslaved. So Henry Moore, our tutor, would rank below a butler, but we have no record of anyone being paid to be the butler, which means it's probably an enslaved man. So a well-educated, paid white man in this household ranks lower than an enslaved man in their job titles. Now, of course, Henry Moore could choose his job. Whoever our butler was, if they were enslaved, didn't.
Did you notice how echoey it was inside the house with all those hard surfaces? Imagine how it would have sounded back in the day with all the children and staff there. But I guess Ruth knew where everybody was. No baby monitors required. And what a treat to meet someone like Ann Mumenthaler, so talented, passionate, enthusiastic about her work. Thank you, Ann.
Hi, I'm Ann Mumenthaler, the Museum Educator at Pottsgrove Manor, and it is absolutely fine to post this video with me in it on YouTube.
And what do we have here?
You gotta unlock the door. We have to go inside and see.
Oh my gosh, Darlene, she's giving you the key. Call your friends. We're going to have a party.
Push. I think I got it. Did I get it?
You did.
Wow.
Let me see that key. I'd like to carry that around in your pocket all day.
I don't know. It's a little heavy for the bra, but